Hello everyone. Well, I'm standing outside the shop here. It is such a beautiful day. I decided I had to come stand in it a little bit. What we're going to do today is I want to teach you how to make a silicone hinge. It's a very simple procedure. However, there's little tips that you can use to make it a cleaner job. What we're going to do is I'm going to build a box. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to perform an experiment. I'm going to create a hermetically sealed glass box, but I'm going to have score marks on the inside all the way around in the box, and then see if I can tap it apart and break it apart in two pieces, knowing that the planes are in line with each other. So if that goes well, then we're going to make a silicone hinge for that box. If it doesn't go well, we'll just throw it away, and then I'll just show you how to make a hinge on some junk glass. So anyway, please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell. In fact, click everything on the page that you can click, and then we'll be safe. But anyway, let's get started. Thanks. Let's get inside. What I'm hoping is that we have a nice box here that I can put a silicone hinge on. But like I say, this glass box treatment is an experiment, something I've never done before, so I don't know if it'll work. Sounds like it oughta. We're gonna prove it one way or the other. So anyway, I'm gonna start cutting up my glass, and we'll get this going here real quick. Let's see here. Need a couple of these. Okay. All right, I've seen this before. I'm going to glue this, the two edges. I've ground the two edges of this glass. We're going to glue it up. Make sure I've got my orientation correct. That, okay. And this isn't going to take long. Trying to mess this up, so gotta be real careful. What I did was, I don't know if you can see it, but I made a score on these pieces of glass, but I'm not gonna break it. We're gonna put the score on these pieces, glue this box up together, and then see if we can tap this thing apart. So anyway, that's the plan, and we will see if we can pull that off. Okay. Okay, we're going to let that cure up. Then we're going to take it to the grinder, level these two surfaces, glue the other side to it. Alrighty, I got the box glued together. What's cool about this is a hermetically sealed glass box. Air doesn't get in, air doesn't get out. You know, you could like take this up on the space shuttle, and if you ran out of oxygen, crack this open, got a little more oxygen. You get to live for 5 more seconds. Woo! Well, anyway, you could take it underwater just as well, and this thing will float. And but anyway, I just think that that's cool. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the grinding wheel, and I'm going to make this a clean glass box. Round all the corners. If you want to see the complete procedure, watch the first half of the robot build. But anyway, I'm going to get started on that, and we'll see how well that goes. All right, the hermetically sealed box that I made, I have already roughed out the round edges on the roughing wheel and taken it to the smoothing wheel and taken it to the pre-polish. And so now we're working on the polish, the final stage of preparing the box to be split in two. So anyway, if you want to see that in some more detail, go back to my robot video, part 1, and you can see that procedure in greater detail. Well, we just finished the box. Now, Lord willing, this box is going to become something other than trash. But I've never done this before, so I don't know what's going to happen. But if you'll notice, basically what I built is a glass box with a score all the way around on the inside. Now, I don't know if the camera's picking up on that. I hope it is. But we're going to tap it and see how it goes. You ready? Alrighty. Now I wish we had a larger ball on this thing, but I have to work with what I've got. Okay. Man. You know what? I may get my brass hammer. Okay, let's see what happens here. You see it walking? Okay, well, that ruined. It's trash. But let's go ahead and see how the rest of it goes. It looks like it's a decent theory. Oh, and it falls apart. The only thing is we've got this clam in here, which is garbage. Now, on the other hand, there may be something we can do to disguise that. But now that we've got two halves, there's a lot of flaring, which means we've got to grind down past all of this flaring, this rippling and stuff that's running through there. We've got to get rid of all that. But presumably once that's done, we'll have surfaces that are uniform, that are in line. They're not out of alignment with each other. But anyway, that was an interesting experiment. We've got another bad spot up here. We may not be able to save it at all. But we're going to use it to learn as much as we can. And I am going to do a silicone hinge on this thing. All right, now we've got our box that we built and then split. And then I have ground the edges and made everything as pretty as I can, as smooth as I can. So we've got a nice clean box. Now we've got a flaw in this, and I can't get it to show up on camera. It's actually kind of hard to see with the naked eye, but there is one big clue if you can pick that out. It's got a clam in there, but anyway, like I say, it's hard to see, but I knew the second that it happened that the piece was ruined. However, it's still kind of pretty, and it's still going to do to be our experiment. Not an experiment. What am I saying? This I've made these hinges before. That's not an experiment. But anyway, we're going to put this together. And as far as I'm concerned, this splitting this box was as close to a success that I bet I can do it the next time and get it perfect. So anyway, we're gonna jig this up to make a silicone hinge, which was what this was all about. So let me set that up. All right, this is the heart of the silicone hinge. It's really nothing to it, and I'm sure half of you guys already know this, but I thought it was fun. So I wanted to demonstrate it. What I've done is I've masked off, here's the seam, and our glass, our two pieces are taped together so they're stable, not moving around. And then I masked off these edges, and the silicone's gonna cover the glass area. And then before I'm gonna put the silicone down, and then I'm gonna trowel it with, use my business card here. And so I'm going to go to give it a shape, and what I'll do is I'll lay it down and then do it here. I've done this freehand before, but my hand's not that steady, and doing this, when you trowel it, every little vibration you make, the silicone will go do-do, 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 have little bumps in it, and I never like that. So I'm going to lay it down and use the edge of this plastic here, and then the trowel that I made out of a business card. So let's get to it here. And another thing is the tape has to be pulled up while the silicone is wet. And it's okay to put too much, it's just not okay to not put enough. Oh, this is a used tube of silicone, and I gotta squeeze it so hard to get everything out of this. You know how it is, once you open up a tube it starts to set up. That's a little faster. Go. Okay, that probably ought to do it. Yeah, it's a little sparse here, but I think we'll accumulate some from up front. By the time we get back here, I think we'll really have what we need, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little more down. Better too much than not enough. Okay, there we go. All right, that was so easy. Okay, now we're going to lay it down, and I'm going to take my trowel just. Oh yeah, we got tons of extra silicone. There's the leftovers. Now let me stand back up and look at it. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to finish off the end here. Do the same over here. Oh, well, actually, I don't have enough silicone over here right at the beginning. And I'm just going to leave it, because anything I do to fix it will make it worse. Anyway, you'll get the idea. Now, I've got to pull our tape off while it's wet. Now we'll ignore this end when we're scrutinizing it. Once it's all dry, we'll just pretend that never happened. If this had been a job, I would have wiped it all off and started over. But it's not. So anyway, what we've got left over here, let me see if we can zoom in on that a little more closely and still stay in focus. Let's see here. It's not really focusing. Let me pull back a little bit. Tell you what, guys, I need a new camera. I really do. I don't think this one's doing its job very well. So anyway, we'll get back here. That's it. Now, all we have to do is let that dry. And, you know, my first instinct would be to think, well, if you made a hinge like this, it would be kind of flimsy. You know, you'd probably tear it. But surprisingly, this stuff is pretty stout. The first glass house that I worked in, the guy that owned the place, he needed to build racks and shelves and things, and he thought, hey, I get glass wholesale, why buy lumber? And he made everything out of glass in his shop. All of the racks that held various materials and tools and stuff like that, he made it all out of glass and silicone. So anyway, now we've got to let this sit overnight. Got to give it a whole day. You don't want to start messing with it, because if it's still soft in the center, now you're messing it up. But anyway, we'll let it sit like this as long as I don't know, at least overnight, maybe longer. But when we come back, we'll demonstrate how the hinge works, how it functions, and what it looks like in action. Alrighty, thanks. Alright, well, our hinge has had 2 days to dry, and so it is good and tough. But what I want to show you is that not only does this act like a hinge, but I mean, it's tough. This is heavy. It's got some weight to it, and it'll last quite a while. And of course, silicone resists heat, although ultraviolet light, if you leave it outside in the sunlight, it can kind of break down. But here it is, and you'll even notice that when you can sort of, you know, bang the glass together, but you might be able to hear the little puff. It's such a good fit, or good two surfaces coming together, that there's a little bit of a puff just as it closes. I can hear it. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but anyway, there you see. And the thing is, this will last for a little while, and so it could either be a box that's all four sides and a bottom, and then the top piece pivots up and down. You can have two pieces, you know, that pivot that way. But as simple as it is, you've got a hinge. It's not a bunch of metal work. It is well and truly stuck. It'll last a long time. It'll stay pliable. It won't, I mean, I'm strong enough that if I wanted to tear it, if I wanted to just rip it apart, I think that would be easy enough to do. But under normal use, this is not going to break down. So, you can imagine all of the different applications of being able to create two pieces of glass that pivot off of each other in one way or another. And you could even maybe come up with some experiments for doing some very complex multi-hinging glass sculptures or structures. That would be pretty neat. But anyway, a successful experiment breaking the box in two, and another successful hinge. Now, just to be real nitpicky, this end here looks real nice. This one doesn't, because I didn't get enough material right there at the beginning. So it finished off nicely, but I should have gorped more silicone at the beginning. And pretty low profile and somewhat translucent, and so doesn't stand out. Now, putting it like this, the thickness of it doesn't let it be stable, you know, this way. But if it had feet on all four corners, then it would sit there just like that. Just like that. Man, I can think of a million things to do with this. Every time I do one of these, I want to start making stuff just to exploit the hinge. Anyway, that's it. That's our little project. Don't go anywhere. I want to share some drawings and some ideas with y'all about what the next project might be, something that we're going to build from beginning to end together. And so hang around for that, and hopefully you'll find it interesting. Thanks. Okay, one of the items I'm contemplating for our next project is a flying saucer made out of glass or starfire crystal. The parts are a little pricey, so I haven't dived into it yet, but let me know if you might be interested in this item. Another project I've been interested in is I had a chance to do this Cessna out of glass as a trophy. We ended up going with a different design, but I always regretted that I didn't build this. So let me know if you think this might be fun. Old man working.